contact the two immiscible phases involved in any particular mass transfer operation, right? And that intimate contact is possible if we can disperse one phase into the other. And for gas liquid systems, gas liquid mass transfer operations, it is possible that we can disperse either gas into the liquid phase or liquid into the gas phase. So accordingly, we will have these two different types of contactors or mass transfer equipments for gas liquid contact. So this first category, that is the gas dispersed type, and the contactors belong to this are this mechanically agitated contactor, and then your sparged vessels or bubble columns, and most important and widely used gas dispersed type gas liquid contactor is the tray tower. So there are several types of these tray towers again. So some varieties are there depending upon how we are dispersing the gas, and also again varieties of trays depends upon how we are distributing the liquid over the trays. So those things we have seen. And then today we'll discuss the second category, that is the liquid dispersed type gas liquid contactor. And here we'll have four varieties. First thing is your this thing Venturi scrubber. So Venturi scrubber, basically the chemical engineers must have already acquainted with this Venturi meter you have studied in fluid mechanics. So Venturi scrubber, basically it consists of this with this convergent section, then throat, and then divergent section. So basically in this case, the gas is sucked in by the scrubbing liquid, right, in the convergent section, and then here this gas liquid mixing or contact effectively will take place, and then finally in the divergent section, so they will be separated, and then gas will come out and we'll get the scrubbing liquid here. So is another view of these things, how it is for contacted this gas liquid. So gas is basically here sucked in by this liquid jet, and then so this is the contact area, and this is basically the gas liquid separation zone. So you'll get the scrubbing solution, this liquid out. We can recycle this for effective this thing utilization, and then gas is basically mostly wants to, so that is taken out, and sometimes because there is a loss of water as this mixed with the gas stream, so we need to add this makeup water, makeup liquid, and it is more than overflow arrangement. These things are will be there. So important thing is that here, as gas is sucked in, so gas pressure drop is low. So we can use low pressure gas in this case. So we don't have to push the gas at high pressure into the contactor. So basically in this case, gas will be sucked in. So low pressure gas can be used in this case. And also, as you are using this scrubbing liquid, so if it contains suspended particle, so that will not harm here. So otherwise, if you use these other tray towers, or you'll see in the case of pack towers, so it may clog the tray, that there are holes and those things. So that is a problem. So in this case, even if this scrubbing liquid contains suspended solid particles, maybe in the form of reactant or in the form of catalyst, so we can use effectively in this type of contactor. So one example is this for this removal of sulfur dioxide from flue gas. So by scrubbing in this carbonate solution. So in carbonate is lime solution, carbonated lime solution. So basically in this case you just see, so lime slurry or lime solution, basically that is basic and sulfur dioxide acidic. So that kind of this some acid base type of reaction will take place. So, and another thing we can note here that in this case, the contact is co-current. So gas and liquid contact is co-current. So obviously we will not get the benefit of multi-stage contact. So that generally we get in case of counter-current contact. So multi-stage benefit is always possible in counter-current contact. So in case of co-current, so we will not get the benefit. And as I told that the situation where it is mostly used, that is for the removal of sulfur dioxide from flue gas. So here, as the reaction is taking place, so then we'll not lose anything because so that is equivalent to this co-current process, right? Co-current process or equivalent to single stage, right? So multi-stage will not be possible if there is chemical reaction. So we'll always get the benefit of a single stage. So for this situation here again, so as that is happening, so it is no problem. So we can use this type of contactor for such service, where you have to remove a acidic gas by scrubbing into a basic solution, right? So chemical reaction will take place. So even if we contact it co-currently, as in this case, then it will not harm anything, right? So will not lose the efficiency. So this is the Venturi scrubber. So obviously, as you can understand, so for special type of situations, this is used. Is not very common, particularly in this, as I told, this gas treatment, flue gas treatment, and this kind of thing. Then next is weighted wall column. So here actually this liquid is dispersed not in the form of fine droplets, but in the form of thin liquid film. In the form of thin liquid film, we just can see here clearly. So liquid is fed from the top. It comes down through the inner wall of the contactor in the form of thin liquid film, and then it is collected below and then taken out. Gas is contacted counter-currently. It is introduced from the bottom and it goes up, then contact here, and then we just take it out, right? So this type of contactor is not very common, and particularly it is not used for large-scale operation. For small-scale operation and mostly for laboratory purpose to study this mass transfer operations, mass transfer process. So this type of contactor is used. Basically here the advantage is that this interfacial area is known, right? We can assume thin film, and knowing the inner diameter of the tube that is used for this, so we can find out the interfacial area by this pi dl kind of thing. So we can find out the interfacial area exposed for this gas liquid contact. So as this area is known, it is very easy to study mass transfer in laboratories. And also one this large scale application of this type of contactor is in case of hydrochloric acid production for the absorption by the absorption of hydrogen chloride gas in water. So basically that is exothermic, and this type of contactor is used. And here in that case, so a jacket is generally used for this case, right? And through which we can send cold liquid or refrigerated liquid, so that we can remove this exothermic heat, right, from this. So this type of contactor is used for this hydrochloric acid production. So by absorption of hydrogen chloride gas in water. So this is one commercial application of this kind of contactor, that is the weighted wall column. Next is spray tower. So spray tower, so as the name implies, basically here the liquid is sprayed in the form of fine droplets, and gas is introduced from the bottom below here. So gas just rises up, and this liquid in the form of fine droplets, it is spread from the top. So we'll have effective contact, gas liquid contact in this region. So in this region, then gas goes up, and as it is spread in the form of these droplets, so there is high chance that gas coming out will contain small amount of liquid droplets. That is, drained liquid droplets will be there, and those are generally arrested by using this demistar pad, right? So entrainment eliminator. So this is called this entrainment eliminator. A wire mesh or some kind of arrangement is used here just to arrest the liquid droplets carried away by this outgoing gas. So this type of contactor is used for this thing for in flue gas treatment, and not only that, even for this cleaning of gas, right, for dust particles and those kind of things. So this type of contactor is used. This type of gas liquid contactor is used. And also you'll see maybe in the next semester in Masters Part 2, the spray tower for the drying. So for drying, right, just to how will you get this milk powder, right? Milk powder by this drying of this milk, right? This kind of this thing. Then hot gas is contacted with this. So liquid milk is sprayed, and then we'll get this milk powder. So instead of this liquid here, we'll get milk powder from the bottom, right? So this type of thing, this spray dryer, actually this is called the spray dryer. So this type of thing is used. Now here obviously we'll get counter current contact, but the thing is that if this length to diameter ratio, if the length to diameter ratio is very small, then what will happen? So there will be back mixing in the gas phase. So there will be back mixing in the gas phase. Then what will happen? Then there is back mixing. Then obviously the concentration will be almost uniform. So we will not get the benefit of this counter current contact. So multi-stage benefit will not get, right? Again, on the other end, if the length to diameter ratio is high, so basically you have this small this tube or the small diameter tube, then what will happen? When you are spraying this liquid, that will very quickly come towards the wall, right? So very quickly come towards the wall, and then this mostly this core of the this thing, so will not get any liquid to contact, right? So gas will rise. So again, obviously then for very small diameter tower, so this contact will not be effective, right? Right. So that is the problem with these things. And again, very for large diameters, then there will be back mixing in the gas phase. We will reduce the efficiency, right? We will not get the complete counter current effect benefit. So those are the problems with this. Another varieties of this spray tower is called the spray chamber. Basically, is nothing but this horizontal spray tower. So this is vertical, it is horizontal. So horizontal spray chamber, spray tower is a spray chamber. And not only that, here you can see, here the gas liquid flow is co-current. Actually, this is the chamber where this liquid is sprayed, right? Liquid is sprayed. So gas or this air is passed through like this. So here we will have co-current contact. Then this is the entrainment eliminator, and then some arrangement. This I will discuss where this kind of arrangement is used. So basically, here we'll see this thing that co-current contact is taking place in spray chamber, but that will not harm in the sense that here the liquid that we are using, that is pure liquid. So mostly there is pure water. So pure water is used. So obviously when one phase is pure, so whether your contact is co-current or counter current, so it will not change change this efficiency, right? So obviously then that is equivalent to this co-current, right? So that's why it is immaterial whether it is co-current contact, because this liquid used here is pure one, that is mostly in water, and this type of equipment is used in air conditioning. Basically air conditioning, that this kind of spray chamber is used. Here we have to maintain the humidity of the conditioned air, right? So this is basically this humidifier section. So and generally for that, first of all, when this just see the steps. First, this air is sucked in, and then this filter just to filter these suspended particles in the air, and that air is preheated, right? So that is required. Basically, we'll study this maybe in the next semester in this humidification, dehumidification, when that will be discussed. So basically, we have to preheat this, otherwise we will not get the desired humidity when we will just humidify this in the spray chamber. So we have to preheat this, and then basically then will humidification, and due to humidification the temperature will drop. Then you have to again reheat. So after this mist eliminator, these things you have to reheat. Then you will get the conditioned air of desired humidity and temperature, and that will be then sent to the conditioned space where it is required. So air outlet, that will go like that. So that's why this whole kind of this arrangement is required for that. Preheating, then humidification or humidifying, then mist or internal eliminator, and then finally reheating to the desired temperature, then supply to the conditioned space. So basically here the spray chamber is then nothing but horizontal spray tower where co-current contact of gas and liquid takes place, right? So this is the this thing on variety of this liquid dispersed type. Then the last one, or most versatile and most important gas liquid contactor of liquid dispersed type is the packed tower. So packed tower, it looks like this. So on this view is this, you can just see here. So there is this inside some central region, there are packing. So there are packing with some kind of material that we'll discuss. Then liquid is sprayed from the top towards the packing, and this should be in such a way that we get very effective weighting for all the packing material. So throughout this packed bed, the material is fully weighted, right? So that wet surface, actually in this case, the liquid is again dispersed in the form of thin liquid film surrounding those packing materials. So it is not in the form of droplets. So basically in this packed portion, the packing is fully weighted by this liquid, and that creates a thin surface liquid film surrounding this liquid the solid surface, and there this gas liquid contact takes place, right? Then gas is introduced from the bottom as usual in this case, so we'll get counter current contact of gas and the liquid, and again gas will always again carry away some of these liquid droplets. So demister is again you have to use, right, to arrest the liquid droplets, and then we'll get clean gas out, and then scrubbing liquid will be removed from the bottom, right? So this is the kind of thing that is used. Sometimes if the size of this packed tower is large is tall tower, then what will happen, as I mentioned that before, that liquid may come towards the wall and it will not be distributed properly throughout this packed material, and for that this kind of arrangement is used, right? We collect the liquid and again redistribute it over the next section of the tower of the packing material, right? So basically this in section-wise kind of thing is multiple, so that in small section, so here it is uniform, but whenever as soon as this liquid coming towards the wall, you just collect it and then redistribute it centrally throughout this packing in the next section, right? So this kind of arrangement is also sometimes used for proper distribution of liquid throughout the packing material. Then coming to this, I mentioned that so these type of towers are roughly classified into these two types. Basically, this randomly packed tower and regularly packed tower. So in randomly packed towers, these packing materials, they are dumped from the top and allowed to fall at random. So this is basically this packing restrainer. So packing starts from this point. So packing restrainer. So here, so they are allowed to down. They are allowed to fall at random. So there is no particular arrangement of this packing material inside this, right? So that's why these are called these randomly packed towers. In regularly packed tower, again, these materials will be arranged in a particular fashion, and mostly for small diameter towers that is not possible. If the large diameter towers, we can use large size of the packing, then we can have this thing possible, then we can arrange one after another. But the problem with random packing is that here the void space is less. So flow area for gas is reduced in this case. Flow area for gas is reduced in this case. So we'll have very high pressure drop, relatively higher pressure drop for gas phase when we use these random packings, right, instead of regular packing. But mostly for this operational easiness or this from cost, because so you have to arrange this large packing so that cost will be involved. So this is done, but one thing is that basically during one thing is generally followed for most of these random packings. When it is down from the top, there is a chance that some of the packings will be broken, so cracked or is broken, so due to this impact. So just to reduce that impact, generally before dumping, this tower is filled with the liquid, maybe water, and then it is down from the top, so that will to some extent reduce the impact when it is just falling on this liquid water. So impact will be less, so that breakage will be reduced. So that is the way to fill this kind of tower with these random packings. Now coming to the types of random packings. These random packings which are commonly used. So this is the one kind most commonly used, called this racing ring. Yes, ring type, racing ring, basically short cylinders, and then obviously hollow cylinder, and then lacing ring, or these are called partition ring. That same thing, one partition is there, right? And the diametrically this one partition is there. So that in fact increases the surface area to some extent, right? So here we get this external and internal surface of this tube. But here again, when you are putting this partition, you will get some additional surface area for contact of the gas and the liquid. So obviously that will at the cost of increased pressure drop. So you are reducing the flow area for the gas. And then the other variety is cross partition ring. Here only one partition was there, and here this cross partition, right? So cross partition. So this is the cross partition ring. So again, you will get some extra area, but at the cost of high pressure drop, or little bit higher pressure drop for the gas phase. Then this is another type of ring called Paul ring. Here you just see that external surface is cut in a particular way and pushed inside, right? So that will again also increase the surface area and will resist, will again create some resistance for the gas phase. So this is also one kind of random packing, so used for packing of these towers for different service, right? So these are mostly made of ceramic, some plastics, and also metals, depending upon what type of service we want. Its chemical compatibility and those kind of things will be considered, right? So these are the different types of packing materials that is used for randomly packed towers. Then saddles. So two different types of saddles. Saddle, you know this. So basically, you get this barrel saddle and then interlock saddle, right? These are also made of mostly the ceramic materials or plastic materials, right? So this kind of things are also used as random packings for pack towers. So barrel saddles and interlock saddles. So another kind of thing, this packing is tailorets. Tailorets, both made of this either metal or plastic, right? You can just see how they are made, just to create extra surface for gas liquid contact. So basically those surfaces get wetted with the liquid and then gas liquid contact takes place when gas is passed through the wetted surface, right? So these are these. What is this is single, and when it is packed, it looks like this, right? So metal tailorets, and then we have these plastic tailorets also. So different types of design, and but these are the things that are also used as random packings for packed towers. Then I'm giving on this example of regular packing that is found in this cooling tower, and mostly this atmospheric cooling tower. So you are not in the campus. I don't know whether you have seen this type of cooling tower so far, right? So, but in our campus there are several. So, I think you might have seen outside our central library, then outside biotechnology department. So we have this kind of cooling towers. It's called this atmospheric cooling tower. And here the packing is basically wood grids. So inside basically vary these splash bars or wood grids. They are arranged crosswise. At one level this way, other level the other way, right? So in that way we get the regularly packed tower, that is the cooling tower, atmospheric cooling tower. So you also may study this thing in your next semester in Masters Part 2 for this humidification and dehumidification, right? So cooling towers, basically here also this the principle of this working principle depends upon this humidification and thing. So basically just here to note that this is one kind of regularly packed tower where the packing material or wood grids or splash bars, they are arranged in a particular fashion or in a regular way, so that we will get this regularly packed tower, and then liquid is in fact sprayed on those packings, right? The same way here the contact is that those these bars they get wetted with the liquid, and then air is actually sent through this, but in this case air flows these ways. That's louvers are there to control this airflow. So otherwise when you are spraying this liquid from the top, so liquid may come out from these things. That's why this kind of arrangement. So it's clear from here, just to prevent liquid to come out of the tower. So this kind of arrangement, we'll see this is from the side view. This is from front view, it will look like this, right? So then this gas is here, this atmospheric air, right? Here no blower or compressor is used for this gas. It is basically simply this atmospheric, as shown, atmospheric air. When it blows, it just enters to this contact with the liquid in a crosswise. That's what is called this cross flow, and then goes out. Right. So it is generally placed in the atmosphere depending upon this wind direction. Right. So mostly we'll find this forward, this we'll get this air direction mostly north south direction. Right. So we'll generally it is placed in that way. So anyway, that this is the one kind of this gas liquid contactor with liquid in the dispersed form, in the form of liquid film, and then we'll get this kind of arrangement in this atmospheric cooling tower, which is the type of this regularly packed tower. Then certain important information about this tower packing or fill, right? So we have to select a proper packing material, right? And there should be some guidelines, some criteria. So based on which we'll decide whether this packing will be suitable for my job of this mass transfer. And first thing to consider is the interfacial surface. So that is always important as we are considering interface mass transfer, right? So interfacial surface. So this packing material should provide large interfacial surface between liquid and gas. And this surface that is called this packing surface packing, that surface area of packing per unit volume of packed space, AP, right? The same way this volumetric surface area per unit volume of the packed space, that should be large. Surface area per unit volume of packed space, that should be large, so that we'll get very good mass transfer with that packing. Then it should possess desirable fluid flow characteristics. What does it mean? That packing material should provide sufficient void space so that pressure drop for the gas phase is less or minimum. So we could just, so we can that packing material should provide when you are this packing this tower, it should provide easy passage of gas and the liquid, right? So without providing large resistance to the flow of the fluids, right? So then if there is sufficient void space, then obviously it will create less resistance and then pressure drop will be less. So that's what is called this desirable fluid flow characteristics. That means that there should be sufficient void space, or this void volume or void fractional void volume, that should be sufficiently large. Then it should be chemically inert to fluids being processed. So it should be chemically inert. Obviously, as I told, this chemical component that is not important, right? So if it reacts with the fluids, right, the liquid or the gas that we are processing, then obviously it is not possible to use that material. So that's why you have to decide whether the material of construction of the packing that you are going to use is compatible with the fluids that we will handle. Then structural strength. It should have enough structural strength to permit easy handling and installation. So that I mentioned, because random packings mostly they are dumped from the top of the tower, and obviously if it is not of sufficient structural strength, it will break into small pieces and obviously will not get the desired fluid flow characteristics. Obviously when it is just broken into small pieces, obviously that will reduce the void volume, right? That will reduce the void volume. So it should have sufficient structural strength. And I mentioned that one way of this reducing the breakage during this packing or this thing is to fill the tower first with water and then dump the packing material from the top. So that will in some way reduce the impact. And as always for anything, that material should be less costly, right? So obviously, say everywhere, say engineers or whoever you're doing, so everywhere we have to minimize the cost. So always you have to go for the lowest cost one, lowest cost material. So you see that thing. So in that way, right? So if this the construction materials of construction is costly, then for your this service, depending upon these chemicals that it will handle, so then obviously cost of this packing will go up. But obviously if that is required for that thing, then we have to use, right? But otherwise, so we have to always go for a low cost alternative, low cost material for the this packing material. Right. So these are the points that we have to keep in mind during selection of the packing material for this pack tower. Then one important thing that is noticed during this operation of these pack towers is called this loading and flooding in pack towers. So basically, you are that's that same thing that flooding we have observed in case of trade towers, but in pack towers also they are also suspected to be flooded at some situations. So here from this thing we'll just from this figure we'll study that how it is how a pack tower gets flooded under certain operating conditions. So here it is, the plot is gas pressure drop per unit tower height versus superficial gas velocity, right? So here we'll see that for dry packing, when the liquid is not introduced to the tower, right? So the packing is not rated dry packing. So we are just sending the gas from the bottom. So liquid is not spread from the top. Then this pressure drop follows this type of relationship, and the slope of this line is generally 0.8 or so, that basically representing the turbulent flow of the gas. So it is basically linear variation that you know from the relationship in this fluid mechanics, that pressure drop versus gas flow rate. Now, when this packing is now irrigated with liquid, then this slope of this pressure drop line changes, right? So with increased liquid rate, you can just see slope becomes very sharper. Steeper slopes are gradually changing these things. Now, in between this or this up to this, for most of this for all these liquid rates, we'll see that even this slope is constant, right? Although it increases with this liquid rate, but at a particular liquid rate, you just see slope is constant. It's almost straight line, right? Almost straight line. So that means in this period, the liquid hold up inside the tower is more or less constant, right? So liquid hold up inside the tower is more or less constant. So that is not changing with increasing gas velocity. If you just take this line, right? So it is not changing with the increasing gas velocity, right? So pressure drop is constant. Now again, as you come to this point, or this in between this A and B, in between this A and B line, you will see that with little increase in gas velocity, there is sharp change in the slope of this line, right? Right? This slope is gradually increasing more and more with increased gas velocity, but not very high. Small change in gas velocity, right? Large change in the slope, right? So lines becoming more and more steeper. Now, what is happening in this case? In this case, actually what is happening, the liquid hold up gradually increasing. So liquid hold up inside the tower gradually increasing. hold up means basically this amount of liquid remaining inside the tower. So liquid hold up gradually increasing. So that is creating or that is reducing the passage or the flow area for the gas, right? So thereby that gas pressure drop increases much faster, right? So gas pressure drop increases much faster. So liquid hold up increases. So the amount of liquid remaining in the tower gradually increasing. Basically, this gas rate is such that it is not allowing the liquid to come down, as if it is holding the liquid up, right? So it is not allowing the liquid to come down, so that tower is now gradually getting loaded with the liquid, right? So this region is therefore called this loading region. So tower is gradually getting loaded with the liquid, and that reduces the flow area or flow passage for the gas phase. So that's why the gas pressure drop increases much faster or much steeper with this increased gas flow rate in this zone, right? Then one point will come when just little increase in gas velocity, we will see that liquid is coming out from the top of the tower, right? So that means the whole tower is now filled up with the liquid. So liquid is then the tower is flooded. Then flooding will start with you just see pressure drop line very sharp, sharp change in the slope. So basically in this case, the tower is filled up with the liquid, and that creates very huge pressure drop for the gas phase. And in this situation, another visual effect is that we'll see that gas is coming in the forms of bubbles through the liquid. So basically then what is happening is the reversed. That now gas is dispersed, not liquid. So gas is dispersed and the liquid is continuous. So this thing happens when this flooding takes place. So basically at high gas velocity, we'll see that the tower is flooded with the liquid. Whole tower is filled up with the liquid. There is no vapor space or this gas space. So filled up with the liquid, and gas comes out in the form of bubbles through the liquid, and that is called now as if it is in dispersed phase and liquid is continuous, right? So obviously this is not desired. So we have to then control this gas velocity and these things. So generally, our objective is to operate the tower either in this below this loading line or maybe at most towards the lower region of this loading, right? So basically, so always we try to operate the tower in this region, right? So otherwise beyond that, so if you go up, then we can say there may be some problem in the instrumentation. There may be this, then gas flow rate may be suddenly suddenly rise, and then that will lead to flooding, right? So there it may be difficult to control, right? So basically that's why. So we always try to operate the tower in this zone. So lower region of the loading or just below the loading zone. So for the safety, right? So this is very important, right? That loading and flooding phenomena in case of packed towers. And yes, you will have one experiment. So for all of you, for all streams, we'll do this master transfer lab. So we'll have one experiment on this flooding and loading characteristics of packed towers in mass transfer lab. So there we'll study this thing. So we'll see also observe this phenomena, and also we'll see this that flooding line also will generate like that. If you just gas velocity versus liquid flow rate, liquid velocity we just plot, we'll get this kind of plot. This is the flooding line, right? For different combinations of liquid and gas flow rates, you'll get this type of this flooding line, right? As I showed you earlier. So for the towers, even for packed towers also you'll see with gas velocity versus liquid velocity. If you plot and the laboratory from the laboratory data, we'll get this type of plot. Otherwise, at different liquid rates also we'll study this type of loading flooding characteristics plot will generate by carrying out experiments in the laboratory. Yes. Next, I don't know whether I will finish this thing. So I tried to complete this thing, but 5 minutes are there. Okay, let's see. Basically, for this type of tower, so again, as I told this, when we'll study this in gas absorption, in fact towers. So design of the tower. So design means we have seen in case of tray towers, so you have to find this length and diameter. So basically length and diameter. Then mechanical design will give you the thickness required for different sections, then different attachments and nozzles and those kind of things. But in the process design part, we'll find out the diameter and length of the tower required to process the liquid and gas streams, right, for the desired mass transfer operations or the separation, right? So in case of fact towers, so this is different, totally different from the tray towers in the sense that, so in case of tray towers, we have seen the contract is stage wise, in different trays or step wise, right? But in case of fact towers, it is continuous contact. It's not in steps or in stages, right? So continuous contact of gas and liquid, right? Throughout this fact bed. So it's continuous contact, right? So obviously the design procedure is different. No, I cannot complete this thing, so I have to stop here. So do you have any question for this part? Are you following or not? I may be going a little bit fast, I don't know. But so okay, you are always open to ask questions maybe in the teams, or you can write me mail, whatever it is. But yes, these are very important and interesting things. So I thought that before starting actual mass transfer operations, I should know some basics of these contractors, so that will be very good for you. Okay, if you don't have any question, then I will close the meeting for today here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, regarding the heat transfer lab reports, there's a submission today at 5. Could you extend it till night 11:59?
Okay, submit, no problem. I'll not extend that time, but will not be penalized for that, right? No problem.
Okay.
By today, just submit, no problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.